Britain has had 7 prime ministers in the last 10 years. 7. Let that sink in. The United States in the same time period? 2. Germany? 1. But Britain can't stop firing its own leaders. And today, June 22nd, 2026, they did it again. Keir Starmer, the man who won the biggest Labour election landslide in decades, just announced he's resigning. Less than 2 years into the job. And the markets? They are not happy. Stick with me, because this story has everything. A political assassination, a currency in freefall, and a man in Manchester who just became the most powerful person in Britain without even being Prime Minister yet. Okay, so let's rewind. July 2024, Keir Starmer wins a landslide. Labour gets a 172-seat majority. The country is tired of conservative chaos. Boris Johnson, Liz Truss, and Rishi Sunak. And they hand Labour the keys to 10 Downing Street. People actually had hope. Fast forward 18 months. 75% of Britain has an unfavorable opinion of this man. 75%. That's not a politician in decline. That's a politician in freefall. So what happened? Honestly, everything that could go wrong went wrong. Cost of living crisis that never ended. Immigration policies that nobody liked. The right thought they were too soft. The left thought they were too harsh. A Gaza war that split the party. Welfare reforms that outraged Labour's own base. And then, the scandal that everyone is now quietly whispering about. Peter Mandelson, Blair's old spin doctor, was appointed British ambassador to America, who then got caught up in the Jeffrey Epstein files. Starmer had to fire him, and then his own chief of staff resigned, taking the blame. By early 2026, YouGov was comparing him to Liz Truss. You know, the woman who crashed the British economy in 49 days and had a shorter tenure than a lettuce. Comparisons to lettuce. That is where we are. Now here's where the story gets interesting. Andy Burnham, mayor of Greater Manchester, 56 years old, Northern England accent, the kind of politician who actually shows up to things and says what people want to hear. For months, Labour MPs had been whispering his name in corridors, and then the whispers became screams. Over 95 Labour MPs, from Starmer's own party, publicly called on him to resign, or at least set a timetable. Think about that. Your own teammates are telling you to leave, on the record. But here's the twist. Burnham couldn't even challenge Starmer unless he was a member of Parliament. He was a mayor, not an MP. So what does he do? He finds a seat. Josh Simons, the sitting MP for Makerfield in northwest England, quietly resigned his own seat. Just gave it up to let Burnham run. On June 18, 2026, just 4 days ago, Burnham won that by-election with 54.8% of the vote. He beat Reform UK's candidate by 20 points. And in his victory speech, without once naming Starmer, he said this: "This now is the change moment. We have an opportunity to turn the tide. Tonight could, just could, be the turning point." He didn't need to say Starmer's name. Everyone knew exactly what he meant. Now, and this is where my former investment banker brain starts twitching, the markets had been watching all of this unfold in slow motion. Back in May, when Burnham first announced he was running for Parliament, the pound fell for 5 straight days. Sterling dropped to its lowest level in months. Traders hate political uncertainty, and this was political uncertainty in neon lights. And today, when Starmer finally confirmed what everyone already knew, the pound slid to $1.3181, approaching its 2026 low of $1.3159, set back in March. Options traders had already positioned for further weakness, the most bearish sentiment on sterling in a month. Now here's the question everyone in the City of London is asking right now. What does Andy Burnham actually believe about the economy? And the terrifying answer is, nobody really knows. He hasn't said. He's been deliberately vague. And for bond markets, for gilts, that ambiguity is dangerous. Britain already has the highest borrowing costs in the entire G7. The national debt is massive. The government has been struggling to cut spending while also needing to invest in defense, in hospitals, and in infrastructure. The last time a British leader spooked the bond markets, Liz Truss, gilt yields spiked so hard that pension funds almost collapsed in a single week. The Bank of England had to step in with emergency bond buying. Nobody wants a repeat of that. So right now, traders are in a holding pattern, watching, waiting. Gilts are slightly higher. The FTSE is marginally lower. The reaction is muted because the market is being rational. This isn't Liz Truss yet, but the door is open. So here's the timeline. Starmer said nominations open July 9th. If nobody else challenges Burnham, and right now, his rivals like David Lammy, Wes Streeting, and Angela Rayner are staying quiet, Andy Burnham could be installed as Prime Minister as early as July 17th. Britain's 7th Prime Minister in a decade. The big financial question is who he picks as Chancellor, because the Chancellor runs the budget. The Chancellor sets the fiscal rules that the bond market watches like a hawk. Burnham has tried to reassure investors by signaling he'd stick to existing fiscal rules. But reassurance is not a policy, and markets price policy, not reassurance. One macro strategist at Bloomberg put it bluntly, and I love this line. The market reaction suggests investors see this as political noise rather than a genuine threat to UK fiscal credibility. Markets already price a political risk premium. Translation: Britain has been a political circus for so long that the markets have built the chaos into the price, which is honestly a little depressing when you think about it. So where does this leave us? Britain is heading into its 7th leadership transition in 10 years. The pound is weak. The bond market is nervous, but not panicking. And Andy Burnham, a man who 2 months ago was just a mayor, is about to become Prime Minister of the United Kingdom. The question isn't whether Burnham will win. He almost certainly will. The question is, what does he do when he gets there? Because Britain's problems are deep. The economy isn't growing. Borrowing costs are the highest in the G7. The public is exhausted. And the hard-right Reform UK, Nigel Farage's party, is waiting in the wings, ready to exploit every single mistake. One wrong budget, one spooked bond market, one Liz Truss moment. And we're doing this all over again. If you found this useful, like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. And remember, I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just a former investment banker who couldn't stop talking about this stuff, which, honestly, same difference.